Good morning and welcome to MarketWatch, our 2015 review of Seacoast sales. My name is Tony Gelbert, Principal Broker of Tate and Foss, Sotheby's International Realty. I have with me today John Rice, Associate Broker of Maine and New Hampshire, past President of the New Hampshire Association of Realtors, past President of the Seacoast Board of Realtors, statistician of the Seacoast Board of Realtors, and of course, statistician of Tate and Foss, Sotheby's International Realty. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Our company in 2015 experienced dynamic growth. Our overall sales increased by 34% over our key 11 marketing towns. Great growth, great explosion, great economy. What I would like you to do is to slightly go over the key highlights of 2015 and how it impacted 2015 and what we see going forward.
Well, Tony, any way you look at the market in 2015, you're looking at a fabulous real estate market. Volume-wise, in the Seacoast, we look at 13 sample Seacoast towns. And in those 13 sample Seacoast towns, volume-wise, we set new records almost every month, new monthly records, and of course, at the end of the year, we set an annual record. So volume was way up, and that record goes back probably at least 6 to 7 years. But going along with that was a new median sale price record of $398,000, right around $398,000 for the 13 sample Seacoast towns. That was an appreciation of 7.5% over 2014. Well, that's very impressive. And so you've got prices up, you've got volume up. It's a pretty fabulous total.
John, can you define the various sales categories within the Seacoast regions that you define as popular price points?
We use 4 price points. The popular price range would be from 0 to 400,000. And then the next range would be 400 to 700,000, then 700,000 to $1 million, and then $1 million and above.
John, in the proper price point areas, can you define sort of what the activity is? And why don't we start with $750,000 and above, and what you saw this year and what you see for 2016?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I think the $400,000 to $700,000 range has been where we've seen a dramatic break in the past between that and 0 to 400. And starting in about late April through September, the numbers in that price range almost, not quite, but almost equaled the popular price range of 0 to 400. So what we're seeing is a surge in volume in that lower, higher priced market segment. Very impressive, and I would predict that this year will be perhaps the first time in modern history, since we've been taking numbers, that we may have a month where that range actually equals the popular price range or exceeds it.
So John, in 2016, the price ranges from $400,000 to $750,000. Do you anticipate increased unit sales and volume?
Yes, I do. I think. Let me back up and just say that I think that we could see median sale prices in that price range go up, and volume is going to be volume should be strong because we have a strong investor presence in our market, something that was missing during the recession in 2007 through 2010 was consumer confidence and investors. We're seeing tremendous involvement by both investors. We're seeing consumer confidence is demonstrated by multiple offers on many properties that are popularly, and if they're priced spot on, we're seeing 3 offers at one time, multiple offers. So that to me is a demonstration of consumer demand and consumer confidence, which are all very important parts of the market. But let me just add, and I'll try to cut it short here, is that in this price range, and in all price ranges, we see a little bit of a volume crunch. Our volume numbers at the end of the year were down in a statistically significant way, such as like 16%. And so in order for us to have volume, we've got to have inventory to sell. So I think that's the only, and part of that is when a property comes in the market and sells quickly, it can't be counted as active inventory. It's already gone. But so it, you look at that in two ways. But anyway, I think all the indices are there, Tony, for a great year across the board, and that's just not a real estate broker talking. That's the numbers telling the story for themselves.
So this would carry forward into the luxury-based market. Let's assume $1 million plus in sales across all towns.
Right. Every price category picked up in the April-May timeframe, and then there was a significant increase in volume in every price range. Not perhaps as the $1 million and above, or the 700 to $1 million and above. Maybe not as impressive as that 4 to 7 range, but that's a trend. We have not had a median sale price approaching $400,000 in the past 5 years in modern history. It's been significantly lower than that. So for us to be up there makes our market a very appreciated market over across the country. I mean, you compare us to, if you're out in Lawrence, Kansas, if you're in Texas, if you're in parts of Florida, and you look up to the Northeast, particularly in our Seacoast market, we're a very very valuable place to be investing.
John, the Seacoast market, one would assume that would incorporate Southern Maine. In 2015, how was the Southern Maine market?
The Southern Maine market actually was pretty good. We saw an appreciation there, not as great as in New Hampshire. We saw actually only 2 towns have a decrease in volume. Otherwise, you had the same kind of trend there. You had property appreciating. You had a volume increase over 2014. And Maine offers a different package than New Hampshire does, and it's very attractive to buyers. It may be a place where you're going to get taxed more. Traditionally, we say in New Hampshire and looking over the river, but at the same time, you can buy a very high-quality property with more land for used to be for less money than in New Hampshire, but that myth is going away as well. So yes, the Maine market right across the river followed suit with 13 sample Seacoast towns. Although, once again, strange that Kittery was one of those towns, one of the 2 towns that was a little off volume-wise, even though that town is exploding in terms of the Kittery-Forsyth area, and it's a great destination place for people to go and have dinner, and school system has been upgraded. And while we're talking about Kittery, there was actually the volume numbers in Kittery were actually up. It was the median sale price that was down, and that was still over $300,000. So that's a pretty healthy median sale price for Kittery. But if one is going to Maine, looking at towns like Elliott and South Berwick, both of which have wonderful school systems, and of course there's Berwick Academy servicing both towns. You're still seeing median sale prices below 300, significantly below 300,000, and higher end prices having a hard time getting above the 800, more even the 700,000 range in both Elliott and South Berwick. So it's possible for someone looking for a higher quality home with some land in New Hampshire to go across the river and buy something in South Berwick or Elliott with a great school system, whatever, privacy, high quality, and come in the under 7.
John, how do you think the luxury market is performing in southern Maine?
I think it's not. Let's say it's not burning up the course, but at the same time, we've seen some substantial high prices. It had been quite a while, as a matter of fact, in York that we had seen a sale price exceed $3 million. And there was a sale in York this year for 3.5, or last year there was a sale for 3.5. That's a substantial sale anywhere, but in Maine that's a very substantial sale, and particularly in York. Kittery also struggled to turn in record sale prices, but indeed there was a sale in Kittery last year for 1.3. So I think people see the value. There's just a lot more that goes into the equation of buying a higher end home in those areas than here in New Hampshire.
John, let's talk a little bit about some of the towns along the Seacoast, particularly Rye. How did Rye perform this year?
Well, Rye reflected pretty much where our 13 sample Seacoast towns were. We had a volume increase of 17%. The median sale price was up over $600,000. That was represented like a 2% increase, so not a significant percentage increase. But I mean, when you're starting from 600,000, you're not going to, you wouldn't expect a huge median sale price increase. But to have just a little increase shows you that our market is strong. That's not a weak $600,000 median sale price. We recently, as a matter of fact, listed a property on Washington Road here at Tate and Foss at a popular price range, and I understand we've had numerous showings on it, and it's right in that $600,000 range. So it shows you the strong demand for Rye.
And one would think that demand is extending into Newcastle. In 2015, we represented 37% of the market in total volume of sales of close to $18 million. So one would think that the 2015 market in Newcastle will carry forward into 2016.
Newcastle last year, Tony, was an incredible success story, not only from a statistical standpoint, but of course for us at Tate and Foss to have the volume that we did do there. And the median sale price in Newcastle was incredible and statistically significant. I think there were 21 sales there, something like that, and the median sale price was $1,050,000, right in that price range. That is very impressive, and once again, that shows you the consumer confidence of investing that kind of money in a single-family home in a particular town.
Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Your family's been there for 300 years.
That's correct.
One would say how many units you've sold in Portsmouth, John. What can we say about this town? It's just a fantastic town to live in. It seems to be the nucleus of the Seacoast. How's the real estate market?
That's what we hear. Everywhere we go when we're selling a house, whether it be in Northampton, whether it be in Durham, whether it be in Kittery, it's how close are we to Portsmouth? And Portsmouth does have it all. It has theater and restaurants, and just, as I used to say when I was chair of the Historic District Commission, it has a sense of place. You walk down a street in Portsmouth and you just feel good about being on that street and living here and doing whatever it is you're doing. It's because we've really preserved that sense of place in most parts of Portsmouth. And while I'm on that subject, it's been controversial, the Port Walk part of Portsmouth, but I was driving through Portsmouth yesterday, and I said, thank God for Port Walk. It's creating its own sense of place, a vital, new, upbeat place that fits hand in glove with the historic part of the town. It's two towns which just have a great sense of place and give you a nice feeling to live in. And so it's no wonder, getting back to real estate, having gone off on that tangent, But it's no wonder that a market in Portsmouth did very, very well last year, both in terms of volume and median sale prices, both kept pace. And in fact, people were reporting appreciation in the downtown neighborhoods that was off the charts. That typically, a New Englander in a place like Miller Ave or Union Street or something like that, which needed rehab and work, was selling around $550. That's pretty solid. Very solid.
It's really interesting to see the expansion of Tate and Foss in regards to going into the markets heading west towards the Stratham, Greenland markets, Exeter, Newfields. We're finding that a lot of young families are moving that way because obviously the school systems are always rated at some of the highest in the state, the affordability. So in particular, John, Stratham, Greenland, how'd the markets perform this year?
Well, when you mentioned Stratham and you mentioned Greenland, they both are spot on in terms of the median sale price for the 13 sample Seacoast towns, both which remember was $398,000 for the 13 towns. In Stratham, that went up to $397,000. It went up. The median sale price in Stratham went up 15%. In Greenland, we had a volume increase and a median sale price increase of I think about 6%, but it came in around 408. So Greenland, both Stratham and Greenland are seeing strong appreciation and keeping pace right with the 13 sample Seacoast towns. When one buys out there, one is going to get a lot of square footage for the money. So there's both in Stratham and Greenland. So there's a lot of volume. There's a lot of value out there, and that's underpinned by great school systems. And I guess for Stratham, you're closer to Exeter, Phillips Exeter, the infrastructure that's there, the train, the skating rink, and all kinds of good things. So,
which would hold consistent, one would think, in the Exeter real estate market,
Right.
and also in the Newfields real estate market. Okay. Dover, the greater Dover area seems to be getting a lot of steam because the values of Portsmouth keep increasing. A lot of the younger generation seems to be moving north a little bit for affordability. Dover has really created its own identity as a real, true, separate community of the area. Can you speak a little bit about Dover? And when I talk about Dover, I'm really talking about the greater Dover area, which would incorporate Rollinsford, the Somersworth Market, maybe north to Rochester, Dover, and that general area, maybe Madbury, and touch into the Durham and Lee area. So Dover.
well, it should come as no surprise, Tony, that because of the prices that are escalating on the Seacoast, in the 13 sample Seacoast towns, of which Dover is not one of the 13 sample Seacoast towns, you're seeing increases in volume in Dover, Rochester, Somersworth, out that way, and you're seeing increases in median sale prices. Dover, of that group of towns out there, is the only one that has a median sale price over $200,000. We've seen a clear migration for affordability to Dover, and it's been enhanced by, once again, infrastructure improvements, because the bridge has always been the bottleneck. By the way, I was thinking this morning it was my relatives 300 years ago who designed the first Dover Bridge, but be that as it may. The market in Dover offers a lot of new construction. Dover High School is about to be rebuilt. And there's the proximity to Berwick Academy, proximity to the university. So it's a town and the Children's Museum, the railroad, on and on I could go. Dover offers an awful lot, and so for me, there's no surprise there that it has the higher median sale price of all those towns up in that area.
But interestingly enough, what you're seeing though is that the average median price in the Seacoast of the 13 sample towns is $399,000.
Right.
Where you go to Dover's, you said it's approximately $200,000.
224.
224. So you're almost getting double your actual value on the median price if you go north 15 minutes.
Back up there. The median sale price in Dover is $248,000.
248. Okay, great. So value, it speaks value. And obviously when the bridge is fixed and they figure the transportation timelines going into the Dover market area, it's one would tend to think that market's going to stay strong and probably would increase over time.
I would totally agree, and I think you're seeing it away from the coast. You're seeing vast improvements in infrastructure. Barrington, for example, has developed into quite a little bustling town. Epping,
Fantastic.
Towns that used to be 4 or 5 stores and a gas station are now full-fledged communities with theater and restaurants and infrastructure. Amazing, the changes. If you lived here, if you went to those places 20 years ago and went away, left the Seacoast and came back, today you'd have a hard time understanding that that's the same town.
Durham, University of New Hampshire, Wildcat territory, always seems to have its own identity. How's the market holding up there? How did it hold up in 2015?
Durham has always had 2 good things going for it. One is the Oyster River school system, which has been time and again pointed to as one of the best in the state, if not one of the finest in the country. I think there was an article recently that placed Oyster River schools number 14 in the country, if I got my numbers right. And of course, there's the University of New Hampshire, and there's the train, and so on. And but the downside for Durham has been rather steep property taxes. Well, in spite of all of that, the infrastructure part of it won out. And volume was up in Durham, and median sale prices were up in Durham, over 300. So that people, I think, are finding that an attractive place to go. And in terms of, and I'll just finish up here on Durham, demographically, as boomers like myself look for places to retire, it's been talked about around the country that boomers find college towns attractive places to retire to. So I think that's a big draw for Durham. Great.
John, the Greater Hampton area. When I say the Greater Hampton area, I really try to talk about the Seabrook area, the Hampton Beach area, Hampton. The market seemed to be busy there. I personally own property there. I've sold property there this year, and I've experienced great appreciation on my investment. It seems to me that a lot of the beach properties continue to increase as you go along the boulevard, along past Cinnamon Rainbows into that area. The revitalization of downtown Hampton Beach is fantastic. But it seems to be an affordable area for families to move into.
Right. You know more about Hampton than I do, but looking at the numbers, that whole area pretty much showed volume increases in 2015, showed median sale prices increasing in 2015, but you're right, Hampton was the most affordable of all those towns, and in one of the more affordable places to live in the Seacoast. It has a median sale price of below 300, right around 290 something. That's a huge plus for that town, plus of the proximity to Boston, the train, infrastructure. Great place to live and very affordable. So it's an affordable alternative in the Seacoast to some other towns where median sale price could be 110,000 or more higher.
John, overall, the condominium market in the 13 sample towns, what kind of year did the overall numbers have in 2015?
It was a very good year. It's a little more modest compared to single-family homes because the popular price range is 0 to 300 as opposed to 0 to 400. But your median sale price was up, I think, 2.5% to 245. So you're seeing appreciation. Volume went up 11%. I think there was something like 600 units sold, just off the top of my head. So quick snapshot, the condominium market is very healthy. It's appreciating, good volume. It's maybe not as robust as the single-family market has been, but it's New Hampshire.
So all the key indicators for 2016 in the Seacoast region are saying that we're going to have a very positive, robust market going forward.
I think you could say that because, first of all, your interest rates, even though they're talking about interest rates going up, they're still going up from where? The lowest they've been historically in years, number one. Number two, volume. If volume does, if inventory levels do decrease, that's only going to put pressure on the existing inventory and raise prices. Another point, which just struck me coming over here this morning, is the current condition of the stock market. The real estate market has not always historically followed suit with the stock market. And the stock market is going up and down. It's very volatile. There's some pretty serious things going on in the stock market, particularly with China and so forth. So I think investors looking for some stability, a proven track record, and a little relief from all this up and down wild ride can look at the Seacoast market very confidently. And the numbers don't lie. I can sit here and paint a rosy picture, and you can say, oh yes, but you take the numbers and see for yourself. They're very, very solid.
Are we going to have a great year?
I think we're going to. I'm planning on having a great year, Tony. I hope you are too. I think all the indices, as I've said before, I think all the indices are in place. You have consumer confidence, which is a key ingredient. You got to have low interest rates. That's a key ingredient. We may have less inventory than we had last year, but we have wonderful inventory that people are interested in, and we've seen it already with some of the listings that we've had in January with multiple offers on properties. So, and as I said before, I think the contrast between the steady Eddie success story of the Seacoast real estate market in contrast to the stock market and where that's going only helps our market as a great place to invest with confidence and a safe place to invest. So I'm bullish about this year.
Great. Well, thank you, John, and thanks for breaking down the numbers. If you need to buy or sell a home, please contact Tate and Foss, Sotheby's International Realty, or access on the World Wide Web at www.tateandfoss.com. Thank you very much. Thanks, John.
Thank you, my friend.